Hello everybody, welcome back. I've got another Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions job breakdown for you. This time we are taking a look at the Geomancer. I'll be honest, I really like the Geomancer for a lot of reasons, but probably, sorry about that, probably the biggest one is that all of their abilities are instant cast and there's no charge time. So I really like that. They're kind of, I would argue, like a cross between a caster and a melee character, right? Because for one thing, their equipment is much more like melee oriented, and then again, also because they're not really casting, right? Or at least not or they don't have charge times at least. So, excuse me, sorry. Let's take a look at their. Let's take a look at the different abilities here. All right, so let's start with Sinkhole. Geomancy skill that inflicts damage by opening rifts in spacetime. Now, all of the Geomancy abilities are, I should say, the one that you cast with the Geomancy command depends on where you are standing. So, this one specifically is Soil and Wasteland. You probably won't be using this one a whole lot, but you know, the more common ones are like Tanglevine. I think Tanglevine might be actually the most common one here. This is a rare one, Torrent. Let me just see here. Contortion. This one is pretty common as well. Well, yeah, I think that's the case. Yeah, not as often as Tanglevine though. And then where's Wind Slash right here? I've done this one. Or this is another common one. So the effect there is disable. You know, some of these though have an element to them. Which means that your certain accessories will actually increase, and actually I think maybe even the gear. I'll have to take a look again at the different gear that could bump up the damage of this stuff. Now, you know, it's hard to prepare for that sort of thing, so it's just kind of, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes, you know, you'll do really good damage, and sometimes, you know, pretty average. But all right, so Torrent adds Toad, and then the element is water there. Again, Tanglevine. This is probably the most common one. Although also, I spend a lot of time here on the Mandalia Plains, probably because of this though, or this is one of the reasons why. I actually really like the Geomancy like skill set just in general. So a lot of times I'll you know, come here and then. You know, specifically because it's easier to use this specific Geomancy ability, right? Because I like to be able to stop enemies in their tracks. I think that's one of the best status effects in the entire game, so I highly favor that. Contortion again, Stone. Stone is brutal. I mean, if you can get an enemy to turn to stone with a Geomancy skill, like, I mean, that's awesome, right? Stone is just brutal. It does not wear off during combat, right? And you know, if you turn everything to stone, well, boom, you've won the battle. So Tremor here, element Earth, and then effect Confuse. Now, this is another actually kind of common one for whatever reason here, which seems weird because the terrain says stone outcropping and basalt, but I know I've used this a lot too. I think mostly because I've spent also a lot of time in the Zekless Desert. So this is one that you will be using quite a bit if you are, you know, messing around on that map. So Wind Slash here, terrain, you know, book tree, brick, bridge, furnishings, iron, moss, and coffin. You know, so a lot of different terrains here that activate this. The element is also wind, which is, you know, kind of nice. And then the effect is disable. Disable is amazing. You know, you can, or an enemy can still, you know, walk around afterwards, but they can't take any action. So one of the best effects, you know, aside from the stop from Tanglevine. Will-o'-the-Wisp, I don't think I came across this a whole lot, but you know, adds effect sleep, and the element is fire. So sleep is pretty good. Not as good as stop, but it's also, you know, excuse me, jeez, it is pretty good. So that's another decent one. Quicksand is another water element, and then the effect is Doom. I'll be honest, I don't really love Doom. Doom is one of the least appealing stat effects in the game. I mean, honestly, it you know, it once the timer wears off, or once the timer's up, you know, it kills the enemy. But yeah, I don't know. It's I guess if you can get this to trigger early, right? That's not so bad. But yeah. And I should add, all of this stuff, all of these status effects, there's a 25% chance that they will trigger. So don't, you know, expect that you're going to be nailing these every single time. But Sandstorm here, this is another, I think, more common one, probably because I spent so much time, again, in the Zekles Desert. But it's wind element, and then it can also blind. I'm not as big of a fan of blind, but, you know, I guess it helps at least a little bit. Snowstorm, element is ice, and the effect is silence. Same thing. You're not going to really be spending a whole lot of time in like snowy terrain. I think the fort, the last battle of Chapter 1, I think might be snow. Right, the fort there where we fought Argath, or what is it? What is his name in this one? Oh, Algus or Argath? No, he is Argath in this one. But yeah, the effect is silent. So. Really good against the casters, and I do know that there are at least 2 casters in that level. So, Wind Blast, Geomancy skill that inflicts damage with the power of wind. So obviously wind element, and the effect is slow. That is not roof and chimney is not a real common tile. Magma Surge here, terrain, lava, and machinery. Same thing here. You're not going to come across these tiles very often, but how the element is fire and the effect is KO. So, actually a pretty amazing effect there. KO is, you know, as long as your target doesn't have status protection against it, that's brutal, right? It just knocks them out. So, pretty cool. Nature's Wrath is interesting. Counterattack with a Geomancy skill. Now, the only problem with Nature's Wrath is that your character will cast on the enemy, and if, let's just say, your other characters, or, you know, even the caster, no, I'm sorry, I don't think it'll hit the caster as well, but like if your allies are able to be hit by that spell as well, right, they're like right next to the enemy, your allies will get hit with this as well. So I don't love that effect or that aspect to it, but it is kind of interesting, and, you know, again, in certain scenarios, I mean, if you can get a counterattack and then, I don't know, get them stopped because of that, like, that's pretty good. So you just have to be careful with it, right? There's a chance that you can actually hit your allies with this as well. Attack boost is amazing. Attack boost is one of the better passive skills in the entire game. Inflict greater damage with physical attacks. I mean, you're going to be, especially, I suppose, for me, I guess I highly prioritize this one because I use physical attacks. I don't want to say exclusively, but almost exclusively when I'm playing tactics. I just favor the physical job. So this one is amazing. So not only, though, does it increase the P attack for physical abilities by 33%, it also boosts success rates on certain abilities such as Arts of War, Steel, and martial arts. So one of the best thieves in the entire game is like a monk with the attack boost ability. They're just amazing because of the way that like Brawler works with, you know, attack boost. So that's attack boost is just amazing. And then, I mean, I love Arts of War. It's kind of funny how I think these days I rely on that skill set a lot more than I did in the past, mostly for I guess for JP farming for one thing, but also it's brutal against bosses, especially if you're dual wielding, right? So if you can increase the chances that you're going to be successful by like speed breaking and stuff, it just you know, it ends up you'll run circles around your enemies. Basically, is kind of how I look at it. So. A really, really great passive ability. Ignore terrain. I'll be honest, I don't really go with ignore terrain that much. I just think that there's so many other movement type abilities that I really like just the straight, like the move abilities, right? Move plus 1, 2, and 3. I really like. So I usually don't use ignore terrain. Same with lava walking. These are so specific in where they, you know, can be used. That's probably the thing that I don't like about them the most, is just, you know, it really depends on where you're at specifically. So that is my take for the Geomancy skills. So I'll just show you here. Let's move up. The only problem also with Geomancy is you know what, I don't know if I can get to this guy in one. I mean, the range is really good, but this might be just this. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I can get this guy. So, yeah, one of the best things about this is just their range, right? And the only issue though here is there's like I don't think there's a vertical component. Let me just see here. I don't think there's a vertical component to any of these abilities. Let me just see. Which makes you know, it a little bit difficult to, yeah, 0 vertical. So you just gotta you're not gonna be able to hit, like, you know, when there's height differences like this, even a 0.5 difference, if you notice there, you're not gonna hit. So that's a bit of a drag, but again, it is what it is. So yeah, let's just show you here. And again, this is that. Okay. 25% chance to stop. Again, I would say Mandalia Plain is one of the... I should say, yeah, Mandalia Plain is my favorite place to JP boost and just gain levels, right? Just level up for reasons like this. I love the Geomancy skill set, and you know, as the monsters get higher and higher in level, and especially this applies more early on in the game, your gear doesn't really match up with how, you know, the monsters are as far as their HP and stuff, and so you need to rely on status effects like stop to keep you safe, because, you know, if a monster gets a hold of you, there's a really good chance that, you know, you might be able to take 1 hit, but you probably can't take 2. So you really need to kind of get them, you know, under control to reduce your damage, and Geomancy, I think, is one of the best ways to do it. The other thing is I've tried Geomancy on some of the other jobs, and it just doesn't perform as well. The best way to boost Geomancy damage is through physical attack. So things like the Headband, because it gives you, you know 2 physical. Headband is like a mid-game item, I would say. Lordly Robe is more towards the end, but there's a substitute for that. Let's actually go back out to the map here, because we're gonna talk gear now. So, but yeah, so unfortunately, just because of the way that that Geomancy damage is calculated, you're better off as a Geomancer. I actually did try the Dark Knight just to see, you know, if it would perform, or if it could do. I mean, its damage is still okay, but it's nowhere near what it is just as an actual Geomancer. There's just something that the Geomancers got as far as like passives or something that that make it you know, just do more damage. So all right, anyways, let's talk gear. Moonblade towards the end of the game is amazing, because it's got haste, though. It's not going to really contribute to your damage, other than you're going to get turns more often, right? So that is amazing. The only other, I would say, really good option here with Geomancer is, I think it is, let me just see here. It's the Rune Blade. Yeah, Rune Blade. But that's because it gives you +2 to your magic deck. Now, that doesn't really, it doesn't really help you that much as far as the damage goes, but you will do a little bit more damage with your Geomancy skills because of that. Because the way that Geomancy works is it actually factors in your P attack and your M attack. So really any way that you can get, you know, one of these stats or multiple stats, you know, definitely try to do that. There just isn't much else for swords that actually give you, I should say there isn't any other weapons that give you that any sort of, you know, attack or magic boost. The other thing that geomancers can do is equip axes. I talked about this in one of the earlier guides, but I don't like axes at all. They're two-handers for one thing, but also they do random damage. So not a fan, not something that I would recommend doing. And then on top of that, though, you can wear shields as well. So just put a shield on. The Aegis shield here, though, does add to your magic stat. So you can at least get some stat out of this slot as well. Let me just see here, what else? Otherwise, I guess you could like dual wield, and then you could put a rune blade in your offhand. But I think this is probably better, right? Because your defense is going to be a little bit better. Although I suppose, right? Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably, or this is probably better. All right. So let's see. Headband. This, you know, gives you +2 physical. You know, normally I like to go with like the Akasha hats or the Thief hats, though, honestly. And if you've got those options, I would go with them. Reason being because I actually prioritize speed more than really, you know, the damage that comes from maybe a little bit of physical attack here or there. But yeah, and Thief's Hat are, you know, if you go out of your way, you can actually get Thief's Hat in the first chapter. You know, that is also, though, if you level up enough. So, but yeah, most of the time you're going to be, you know, rocking like headbands. You know, and because those are available midway through the game. As far as armor here, you know, light armor, it doesn't look like. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. You can use robes as well. I like the power garb is actually really good though. Power garb's got the +2 physical attack, and these are available kind of around the time that, well, yeah, probably like mid game, right? So right around the time that headbands become available. So that's my take. Otherwise, you know, you can do like Jujutsu Gi or Gi here because this gives you a physical 1. But yeah, I would go with Power Garb. Just a great overall. I've got the Taina Rogue here. This is not available though till the end of the game. Another item that's pretty decent though is the, well, I guess Genji Glove is okay as well. +2 physical, +2 magic. It's actually really good on Geomancer. But if you don't have that, you know, it's things like Bracer. Bracer's really good, you know, physical +3. So yeah, that is it. It's just that Geomancy is very much gear dependent. So I guess the other thing though that I really like about Geomancy as well though is it's the status effects that come from it. So you know, even if I'm not leveling up as a, well, because I try not to level up as a Geomancer, but once I get some of the skills that I need, I often like to take this skill set onto the other characters that are the other jobs that I'm trying to JP farm on. And, you know, your damage is going to suffer a lot because of that, but you'll still get the status effects. And again, like I've said, I really like to spend a lot of time on the Mandalia Plains. So Stop is just an amazing status effect to have trigger. So, and also, you know, I guess because of the vertical, like the height limitations of Geomancy, the plains are also pretty good because there are a lot of flat areas on the Mandalia Plain. So again, that's my take on Geomancer. As always, hope the guide was helpful, and hope you join me for more videos. Thanks for watching.